Chosen one, listen carefully. Heaven has just opened its war room, and your name is written on the assignment board. That's not a metaphor, that's not a poetic picture. It is a spiritual reality. There is a reason you are still here. Have you ever sat back and wondered, why am I still standing after everything I've gone through? Why didn't that storm that should have destroyed me take me out? Why did that betrayal that should have shattered my faith instead push me deeper into God's arms? That is not an accident. That is not a coincidence. That is a divine appointment. You didn't stumble onto this message by scrolling randomly. No, heaven has summoned you here. The same God who spoke light into darkness, the same hand that parted the Red Sea when his people had no way forward, is the very hand that has guided you to this moment. I want you to pause and let that truth sink in. Every scar you carry, every sleepless night, every tear you've cried, none of it was wasted. If you're still breathing, if your heart is still beating, then God is not finished with you yet. He's preparing you for something greater, and this moment right now is proof that heaven has called your name. Now let me ask you something personal. How many times have you looked at your life and thought, that should have been the end of me? How many times did the doctor's report say there was no hope, but somehow you're still here? How many times did loneliness, financial stress, or broken relationships threaten to drown you? But you made it through. Chosen one, that wasn't luck. That wasn't a coincidence. That was the covering hand of God, training you, shaping you, and preparing you for this very hour. This message is not just another video. It is a divine interruption in your daily routine. Heaven is literally taking attendance right now, and God is calling forward those who will rise, those who will not bow to fear, those who will not compromise. That's you. That's why your spirit is stirring right now as these words reach your ears. And I'm asking you, don't just listen passively. Take a step of faith. Make a declaration. In the comments, type 777. Don't think of it as just a number. Think of it as your spiritual signature, your way of saying to heaven, I am ready. I will not shrink back. I know my name has been called. Because when you respond publicly, when you align your faith with action, it's like writing your name in bold ink on heaven's attendance sheet. You see, when the prophets of old delivered a word, the people had to choose whether to ignore it or to respond. And every time someone responded, whether by lifting their hands crying out to God or stepping forward in obedience, the heavens moved on their behalf. Right now you are standing in that same place of decision. This is not the time to hide in the background. This is the moment to step into your identity as one of God's chosen ones. Think about it. Out of billions of people in this world, you are here listening to this exact message at this exact time. What are the odds? What are the chances? From a human perspective, maybe slim, but from heaven's perspective, it is absolute certainty. God has orchestrated every detail to get you here. Let me share a personal thought. I've spoken to thousands of people over the years who all carried the same silent question in their hearts. Why am I still here? Why did I survive when others didn't? And every time the answer comes back, the same, because God has a mission with your name on it. And if you've been feeling that stirring, that pull in your spirit, that unexplainable urge that there's something more to your life than what you see right now, it's because heaven is whispering. Get ready, chosen one. The assignment is about to be revealed. And here's the truth that might shake you a little. God doesn't call the comfortable. He doesn't look for the ones who have it all figured out. He calls the broken, the scarred, the overlooked, the ones who thought their story was over. That means you are qualified not because of your perfection, but because of your perseverance. You are chosen not because you never fell, but because you refused to stay down. So, as we step into this journey together, I'm asking you to do 3 simple things right now. First, if this resonates with your spirit, hit the like button, not for me, but as a public act of agreement with Heaven's word over your life. Second, subscribe and join this community of believers, because you are not meant to walk this path alone. And third, declare your readiness in the comments by writing 777. That number is your banner, your flag planted in the ground saying, I am one of the chosen. I am not here by chance. I am ready for what God has next. This is the opening of a sacred moment. Heaven has taken notice. The war room has been opened. Your name is on the assignment board. And the question now is, will you rise? Will you answer the call? Because chosen one, this is not the beginning of the end. It is the end of the beginning. What God is about to reveal will not just confirm your identity, it will ignite your destiny. Stay with me, because what comes next has the power to rewrite everything you thought you knew about your purpose. This is not just another message, this is your divine summons. Chosen one, look around you. Can't you feel it? The trembling beneath your feet, the tension in the air, the sense that the world itself is groaning. This is not just imagination. This is not just another difficult season. This is exactly what Scripture foretold. Hebrews 1:2-6 declares, Yet once more I will shake not only the earth but also the heavens. This shaking, you're sensing it, isn't just some breeze passing through your life. It is not another minor inconvenience that you'll simply get over. No, this is the earthquake of heaven. A storm that will reorder everything we've known, a divine trembling that separates what is eternal from what is temporary. And here's the truth. You weren't born to hide from this shaking. You were born to stand in it. Think about your journey. You've already survived storms that should have wiped you out. You've walked through betrayals, losses, disappointments, nights when you thought you'd never see the sunrise. But here you are, still breathing, still believing, still standing. That wasn't training for nothing. It was preparation for this exact hour. The world is trembling, beloved, and it's not an ordinary change. Look at society. The foundations that once felt so stable are now cracking. The values we once held sacred are openly mocked in the streets. Children no longer honor their parents. Truth has become negotiable, shifting with culture and convenience. The very fabric of society is unraveling thread by thread. And yet none of this is random. This is biblical prophecy unfolding right before our eyes. Jesus himself warned us in Matthew 2:4-7, As it was in the days of Noah, so it will be at the coming of the Son of Man. What were the days of Noah like? People were eating, drinking, marrying, laughing, completely oblivious to the storm that was gathering overhead. They thought life would just continue as normal until the flood came and swept them all away. Doesn't that sound familiar? Today, millions scroll endlessly on their phones while their souls starve. They chase after wealth while their families collapse. They idolize celebrities and influencers while rejecting their creator. Humanity has built towers of pride on foundations of sand, and now those towers are swaying in the wind. The confusion isn't accidental. The loneliness plaguing our elderly isn't natural. The fear gripping hearts across America and beyond isn't random. All of this is evidence of spiritual warfare breaking into the physical realm. And you can feel it in your bones, can't you? That deep, unsettling sense that something massive is about to break loose. Your spirit recognizes what your mind struggles to fully comprehend. We are living in the last chapter of human history as we know it. But here is the revelation that shifts everything. This shaking is not punishment. This shaking is positioning. Let me say that again, so it burns into your spirit. The world is not falling apart. it is falling into place, exactly as God foretold. Just like a house being tested by fire, everything built on sand is collapsing. But those who are anchored on the rock, those who have built their lives on Christ, they will not be moved. You see, the chaos around you isn't defeating God's plan. It is God's plan. This is the separation process, the threshing floor moment when the wheat is divided from the chaff, the genuine from the counterfeit, the faithful from the fearful. And you battle-tested, prayer-worn, miracle-walking. You are here, not by accident, but by divine design. So let me challenge you. Will you run from the fire, or will you walk through it, knowing that the one who calls you is faithful? Because the fire is not here to destroy you. It is here to purify you. Every flame that touches your life is burning away the impurities, the doubts, the compromises that cannot go into the next season. I know what some of you are thinking, but this feels too heavy. The world is so dark. Maybe my best years are behind me. No, chosen one, your best years are not behind you. They are right in front of you. The shaking is not here to bury you. It's here to reveal you. You were built for this. And let me tell you something that breaks my heart. Too many believers see the shaking and run back into comfort. They water down their fire to keep peace with the world. They dim their light so others won't squint. But hear me clearly, the world doesn't need another lukewarm Christian. The world needs a remnant, a chosen people who will burn bright, even when it makes others uncomfortable. Every time you see the news filled with chaos, every time you see society mocking truth, every time you feel that deep stirring in your gut, remember this: you're not witnessing random events. You're watching prophecy unfold. And God chose you to be alive in this moment, not just to survive it, but to shine in it. Think of the shaking like a great storm. When the wind blows, the trees with shallow roots are the first to fall. But the oak tree with deep roots, it may bend, it may groan, but it will not break. You are that oak tree. Your roots go down deep into the living water of God's word. And because of that, when everything else collapses, you will remain. So here's my question. Will you embrace the shaking as your confirmation, or will you shrink back in fear? The shaking is your signal that the old is being stripped away, that the false is being exposed, that the stage is being cleared for God's glory to shine. If you feel the fire burning in your bones right now, if you sense heaven confirming this in your spirit, drop a fire emoji in the comments. Not as decoration, but as a declaration. I know the fire is real and I choose to walk through it. Because, chosen one, this is only the beginning. The shaking has started and your role in it is greater than you can imagine. Stay with me, because what I'm about to share next will reveal why your hidden years were never wasted. You'll see how every setback, every tear, every lonely night was actually God's training ground to prepare you for this exact moment in history. Chosen one, listen closely. So many of you are looking back at your life and wondering, were all those years wasted? Did all that pain serve any purpose? And I'm here to tell you, with the authority of heaven, no moment of your life has been wasted. Every hidden season, every tear, every heartbreak was not abandonment, it was preparation. Let's go back to the fields of Bethlehem. Think about David, the shepherd boy. While his brothers were parading around in armor looking like soldiers, David was tucked away in the fields where no one was watching. He wasn't invited to the family gatherings when the prophet Samuel came to anoint the next king. His own father didn't even think to call him. He was overlooked, forgotten, dismissed. But heaven had his eyes on David. And in those quiet fields, David learned to fight lions and bears. He learned to worship when no one was listening. He developed a heart after God, not because he was trying to impress anyone, but because he had nothing else but God. Those hidden years, those lonely seasons, those were not punishment. They were a training ground. They were forging something inside of David that no battlefield could ever teach. And when the moment came to face Goliath, David wasn't stepping into something new, he was stepping into something he had been prepared for all along. Now let me bring this to you. Those nights you cried yourself to sleep after losing someone you loved that wasn't wasted time. Heaven saw it. Those long days sitting in hospital waiting rooms whispering prayers you thought no one could hear, those were warrior prayers. Every time you stayed faithful when your children walked away from the faith, every morning you chose hope when hope felt like a lie. You thought it was weakness, but heaven was training your hands for battle. 1 Samuel 1:6-7 reminds us, "Man looks at the outward appearance, but the Lord looks at the heart." While the world celebrates youth, beauty, and strength, God celebrates endurance, faithfulness, and a heart that will not quit. The world sees your scars as proof of failure. Heaven sees your scars as medals of honor. Think of it this way: gold is not made pure by sitting on a shelf, it's refined in fire. Oak trees don't grow strong in sunny meadows, they grow deep roots in the middle of storms. And you, chosen one, have been through fires, storms, and battles that should have destroyed you. But instead they made you unbreakable. You may look at your life and see delay. You may see doors that closed, opportunities that slipped away, dreams that never seemed to come to pass. But from heaven's perspective, those delays were divine calibration. Every no you heard, every closed door you faced was God saying, "Not yet. You're not ready. I'm still preparing you for something bigger than you can see." And here's the truth: you are seasoned now. You are tested. You carry an authority that cannot be faked and cannot be taught in classrooms. Authority only comes from surviving what should have killed you. When the world looks at your gray hair and says, "Over the hill," God looks at you and says, "Battle-tested warrior." Your silver crown is not a sign of weakness, it's proof that you've stood the test of time and are ready for assignment. So let me challenge you: stop looking at your hidden years as wasted time. Stop telling yourself that your best days are behind you. If God has kept you alive, if He has preserved you through every storm, then it means your assignment is not finished. Your hidden years were your training years. They forged resilience, patience, endurance, and faith that this generation desperately needs. I've met so many people who thought their usefulness was over. A widow who believed her life ended when her husband passed. A man who thought his health struggles meant God had shelved him. Parents who felt like failures because their children walked away from the faith. But every time when they surrendered those broken pieces to God, He used them as weapons in His hand. Do you see the pattern? Your hidden years are heaven's investment. God has been building something in you that couldn't be rushed. It's like the roots of a tree, they grow underground, where no one can see. But when the storm comes, those roots are what hold the tree upright. That's why you're still standing. And the chosen one, let me tell you something that may surprise you. The authority you carry now is greater than the strength you carried in your youth. When you were younger, maybe you had more energy, more opportunities, more applause. But now you have something far more powerful. You have a testimony. And testimonies are what break chains. So when the enemy whispers, "You're too old, too broken, too forgotten," you need to answer back, "No, I'm seasoned, I'm refined, I'm prepared." Every setback positioned you for this comeback. Every tear watered the soil for the harvest that's about to break forth. Every hidden year was heaven writing your training manual for the assignment that's about to be revealed. If this resonates with you, I want you to type in the comments right now, "I am prepared." Because when you declare it out loud, you're aligning your spirit with heaven's truth. You're telling the enemy that you may have been hidden, but you were never forgotten. You may have been delayed, but you were never denied. Listen, your story isn't over. The best chapters haven't even been written yet. You've been through the fire and you didn't burn. You've been through the flood and you didn't drown. You've walked through the valley of the shadow of death and you're still here. That means you're ready. That means you're prepared. That means heaven has a fresh assignment waiting for you. And in the next part, I'm going to share with you the one step that separates those who merely survive from those who rise like never before. It's going to challenge you. It's going to shake you. But if you embrace it, it will unlock everything God has been preparing you for. So stay with me. Your hidden years are about to make sense. Chosen one, let me take you deeper, because this part is going to shake some of you to your core. You see, everything you've walked through, every hidden season, every storm, every tear, has been leading up to this one crucial truth. God is drawing a line, a holy, unmistakable line, and it runs right through families, friendships, workplaces, even churches. Revelation 3:1-6 gives us a warning that is not poetic suggestion, it's a divine ultimatum. Because you are lukewarm, neither hot nor cold, I am about to spit you out of my mouth. That is not a soft language. That is heaven's final call to a church that has forgotten how to burn. And some of you feel it, don't you? You've noticed a distance growing between you and the people who used to understand you. Your own children look at you differently. Old friends avoid conversations about God. Family members roll their eyes when you speak about His hand in your life. And you've wondered, am I doing something wrong? Have I changed too much? Let me speak truth into that confusion. No, you're not wrong. They are pulling away not because you've failed, but because the light in you is exposing the darkness they're not ready to confront. That's why your sister doesn't call anymore. That's why your old friends have no time for coffee. That's why your grown children think you've gotten too religious. It's not rejection, it's recognition. They recognize something holy in you, and it makes their compromise burn. And here's the hard truth. Light and darkness cannot coexist. Oil and water cannot mix. So God is separating His remnant, His chosen ones, from the lukewarm masses. He's consecrating you. He's pulling you apart. Because lukewarm faith will not survive what's coming. Now I know that sounds painful, and I know the loneliness cuts deep. But you need to understand your separation is not isolation. It is preparation. It is consecrated. God is stripping away the voices, the relationships, the attachments that would water down your fire. Why? Because this world doesn't need another half-hearted believer. It needs a remnant that burns with holy fire. Think about the prophets. Jeremiah wasn't celebrated, he was ridiculed. Elijah wasn't surrounded by a cheering crowd, he stood on Mount Carmel alone against hundreds of false prophets. Jesus Himself told us that families would be divided, that following Him would cost friendships, comfort, and even reputation. But He also promised that the fire He came to kindle on the earth would not be quenched. So here is the question for you. Chosen. 1. Will you choose the fire that separates you, or the comfort that destroys you? Because those are the only two options left. The days of lukewarm faith are over. The shaking of heaven will expose every pretense, and only those who have already chosen to burn will remain standing. I want you to think about your own life right now. Where have you been tempted to dim your light just to keep the peace? Have you softened your voice because you didn't want to offend? Have you watered down your fire so others wouldn't feel uncomfortable around you? That may feel easier in the short term, but it is spiritual suicide in the long run. The world doesn't need you to blend in. The world needs you to stand out. Even if your fire makes others squint, even if it makes them walk away, your obedience could be the very spark that ignites their return. Let me tell you something personal. I once spoke with a woman who said, "I lost all my friends when I got serious about God. They didn't invite me out anymore. They said I was too intense, too religious. and you could hear the loneliness in her voice. But then she told me months later, one of those same friends called me in the middle of the night, broken, desperate, saying, "I need what you have. Pray for me." You see, chosen one, your fire may repel them now, but when their world collapses, it will be the very thing they come running back to. So don't dim your flame. Don't apologize for the fire God has placed inside you. It was never meant to make you popular. It was meant to make you powerful. Right now, heaven is asking you a simple but costly question. Will you burn? Will you embrace the separation, even if it means walking alone? Will you choose the fire, even if it costs you friendships, comfort, or approval? If your spirit is saying, "Yes, I want you," to declare it boldly. Say it out loud wherever you are, "I choose the fire." And then write it in the comments below. Not because God needs to see it, He already knows your heart, but because every time you declare it publicly, you break the chains of fear that try to keep you silent. The days of lukewarm Christianity are over. The shaking has begun. And only the burning ones, the remnant, the chosen, who refuse to compromise, will carry the authority to stand in the storm. So, chosen one, the choice is yours. You can chase comfort, or you can choose consecration. You can stay lukewarm, or you can burn with holy fire. But you cannot have both. And let me warn you, what comes next will separate the pretenders from the remnant. The shaking will not be gentle. The fire will not be optional, and only those who have already made their choice will stand unshaken when the world falls apart. This is the hour of separation. This is the hour of fire. And God is asking you right now, will you choose the flame? Stay with me, because in the next part we'll step into one of the most hope-filled promises of this entire journey, the return of the prodigals. You'll see how your prayers, your tears, your faith have not been wasted, and why those you've been believing for are about to come home. Chosen one, let me speak to the ache that so many of you carry in silence. For some of you, it's not the storms you've survived that hurt the most. It's the names you carry in your heart like open wounds. A son who walked away from God, a daughter who no longer calls, a grandchild drowning in addiction, a loved one whose faith has grown cold. You've prayed until your knees are raw, wept until your eyes are dry, and wondered if God even hears you anymore. But I have good news straight from the Father's heart. He hears every single cry, and His promise is unshakable. Hosea 1:4 declares, "I will heal their waywardness and love them freely, for my anger has turned away from them." Notice God doesn't say maybe. He doesn't say if they get their act together. He says, "I will." That's a promise written in heaven's courthouse and sealed with His love. Right now, even as I speak these words, prodigals are crying out to God in hospital rooms, in jail cells, in empty apartments at 3 o'clock in the morning. Children who haven't spoken your name in years are whispering prayers they learned at your kitchen table. Grandchildren caught in cycles of addiction are remembering the hymns you sang over them when they were small. This isn't wishful thinking. This is prophetic reality. Let me tell you a story that proves it. I once met a grandmother from Detroit who prayed for her grandson for 15 years. 15 years. He was caught up in gang life, drugs, and violence. Everyone else gave up on him, but not her. Every night she called his name before the throne of God. Then one night, after being shot and left bleeding on a sidewalk, the very first words that left his mouth were, "Jesus, help me." That moment shifted everything. Today, that same grandson is not just alive, he is pastoring a church in the very neighborhood where he once caused destruction. Her prayers didn't just save him, they saved an entire community. Do you see it? Your prayers are never wasted. Your tears are not forgotten. You are not just a parent, a grandparent, or a family member. You are a lighthouse standing on a dark shore. They may have sailed far into dangerous waters, but your intercession has kept the light burning, guiding them home. The prodigal son in Luke 15 didn't return because of guilt. He returned because he remembered his father's house. And right now your prodigals are remembering. The love you poured out, the foundation you laid, the prayers you prayed, it's all working beneath the surface of their rebellion. I know it feels slow, I know it feels silent, but beneath the surface God is moving. He is softening hearts that seemed hardened beyond repair. He is whispering in the night hours, reminding them of His love and of your faith. Don't give up now, don't stop praying, because heaven is closer to breakthrough than you realize. In fact, I want you to take a prophetic step of faith right now. In the comments, type the name of the prodigal you're believing for. Don't hesitate. Don't overthink it. Just write their name. Because when the family of God joins together in agreement, heaven moves. We're going to pray over those names together, and I believe testimonies are going to come out of this moment. Let me encourage you with something powerful. The enemy fights hardest over the ones who are called to carry the greatest light. That's why your child has faced such intense battles. That's why your grandchild has been under attack. The enemy sees their potential and is trying to destroy it before it manifests. But here's the truth. Satan cannot erase what God has written. He can fight, but he cannot win. Think of it this way. A seed planted in the ground looks dead. It's buried. It's unseen. But deep beneath the soil, life is stirring. The darkness is actually the environment where transformation takes place. Your prodigal may look buried right now, but God is working beneath the surface. The seed of faith you planted years ago is about to break through the soil. Chosen one, I can almost feel the Father's heart in this moment. In Luke 1:5-20 it says, "But while he was still a long way off, his father saw him and was filled with compassion for him. He ran to his son, threw his arms around him and kissed him." Did you catch that? The father didn't wait for the son to arrive perfectly cleaned up. He ran while he was still a long way off. And right now the Father is running toward your loved ones. So here's what I want you to understand. Your prodigals are not too far gone. They are not forgotten. They are not beyond redemption. If they have breath in their lungs, they have hope. And your prayers are the bridge God is using to bring them back. I also want to speak peace over your heart. Stop blaming yourself. Stop rehearsing what you could have done differently. You were never meant to carry the weight of their choices. You were meant to carry them in prayer. God is the Redeemer, not you. Your role is to keep the light shining, to keep declaring His promises, and to keep standing in faith. So I'm asking you, will you believe again? Will you stand in the gap again? Will you trust that the same God who parted seas, who raised the dead, who delivered you from your storms, can also bring your prodigals home, because He can, and He will. I want you to picture it with me. Imagine that knock on the door. Imagine the phone call in the middle of the night. Imagine the tears streaming down your face as your child, your grandchild, your loved one says the words you've been praying to hear. "I'm coming home." That moment is closer than you think. Chosen one, don't lose hope. Don't stop praying. Because this is the hour of the great return. Heaven is already moving. And your prodigal, yes, your prodigal is coming home. Stay with me, because in the next part, I'm going to show you why faith alone isn't enough, and why the Bible warns us that faith without works is dead. This will separate those who survive from those who step into true spiritual authority. Chosen one, now that you've seen the Father's heart for the prodigals, I need to take you into a truth that cuts straight through every excuse we try to make. James 2:1-7 says it plainly, "Faith by itself, if it is not accompanied by action, is dead." That verse doesn't leave room for negotiation. Dead faith doesn't save. Dead faith doesn't move mountains. Dead faith doesn't change families or transform communities. And here's the sobering part. Many people are sitting in churches today with faith that looks alive on the outside, but is lifeless on the inside. It sings the songs, it prays the prayers, but when the fire comes, it has no power. You chosen one were not called to survive with dead faith. You were called to carry living, breathing, burning faith. Faith that gets up and moves, faith that steps out when it doesn't make sense, faith that doesn't just talk about God, but demonstrates God. Let me ask you a question. What good is it if you believe God heals, but you never lay hands on the sick? What good is it if you believe God saves, but you never share His love with anyone? What good is it if you believe God provides, but you never trust Him with your resources? That's not living faith, that's museum faith. It looks pretty on the shelf, but it doesn't change anything. The shaking we are walking into demands more than words. It demands warriors. It demands intercessors who will stand between heaven and earth like Moses on the mountain, lifting the staff while the battle rages below. It demands believers who won't just sit on the sidelines, but will step onto the battlefield declaring, "Send me, Lord, I'll go." And let me speak directly to my precious seniors for a moment, because the world has tried to convince you that your time is over, that you've done your part, that you should step back and let the younger generation take over. But heaven is declaring the opposite. Your age is not your decline, it is your coronation. Think about it. Moses didn't even begin his assignment until he was 80 years old. Abraham didn't receive the fullness of his promise until he was considered ancient by today's standards. Caleb said at 85, "I am still as strong today as the day Moses sent me out. I'm just as vigorous to go out to battle now as I was then." Elijah called down fire from heaven, not as a young man chasing dreams, but as a seasoned prophet, carrying authority forged in years of walking with God. Your wrinkles are not weakness, they are war medals. Your gray hair is not surrender, it is a silver crown of authority. Every year you've lived, every battle you've fought, every loss you've endured, has been building something inside of you that this generation desperately needs. Don't you dare believe the lie that says you're finished. Heaven is not asking you to retire. Heaven is asking you to refire. This is your moment to release the wisdom, the authority, and the faith you've carried into the next generation. But here's where it gets uncomfortable. Faith without action is useless. If all you do is sit and reminisce about what God did in the past, you're missing the point. The world doesn't need your theories about God. It needs to see your God in action. Right now, as you hear my voice, someone in your neighborhood is thinking about ending their life. Someone in your family is drowning in addiction. Someone in your community has completely lost hope. And you, yes, you might be the only voice that can reach them. Why? Because you carry something younger believers haven't earned yet. You carry perseverance. You carry scars that prove God heals. You carry testimonies that silence the enemy. You carry authority not because you're perfect, but because you survived what should have destroyed you. So, chosen one, the time for sitting on the sidelines is over. The shaking we are walking into requires active, visible, undeniable faith. Not faith that just believes, but faith that becomes. Faith that shows up at the hospital bed. Faith that picks up the phone and prays with someone at midnight. Faith that steps into the dark places and shines light when everyone else is too afraid. Think about it. Noah didn't just believe a flood was coming, he built the ark. Abraham didn't just believe God's promise, he packed up his family and left everything familiar behind. Peter didn't just believe Jesus could hold him up on the water, he stepped out of the boat. Faith always moves. Faith always acts. Faith always leaves evidence. So let me ask you, where in your life has faith been silent? Where have you settled for believing without acting? Because that's where God is calling you to rise. This generation doesn't need more sermons, it needs demonstrations. It needs to see what faith looks like in motion. It needs to see people who don't just say they trust God, but actually live like it. And that's your calling, that's your assignment. If you're ready to step out of survival mode and into warrior mode, I want you to declare it right now. Send me, Lord. Say it out loud. Write it in the comments. Let heaven hear it. Let hell hear it. Let your own soul hear it. Because the moment you declare it, you shift from passive to active, from surviving to leading, from believing to becoming. You were never called to just get by. You were never called to just hold on until the end. You were called to shine, to fight, to intercede, to lead, and to stand as a living testimony of what God can do through a surrendered life. So, chosen one, the time has come. No more lukewarm faith. No more silent faith. No more dead faith. It's time to rise with faith that breathes faith, that acts faith, that moves mountains. And in the next part, I'm going to reveal the final step, the one shift that separates the survivors from the unshakable. It's not about doing more. It's not about striving harder. It's about surrender. And it may shock you. Stay with me, because what's coming next will change everything you thought you knew about walking with God. Chosen one, we've walked through the storms, the shaking, the hidden years, the separation, the fire, the call to action. But now, I need to share with you the most important truth of all, the final step. And let me tell you up front, it's not what you think. See, the world has conditioned us to believe that power comes from doing more, fighting harder, controlling tighter. We think if we can just pray longer, hustle harder, push stronger, then we'll finally break through. But heaven operates by a different law. The final step is not about doing more. The final step is about becoming more. It's not about striving, it's about surrendering. Listen to the promise of God in Ezekiel 3:6-6. I will give you a new heart and put a new spirit in you. I will remove from you your heart of stone and give you a heart of flesh. That's the key. The final step is exchanging your heart of stone for a heart of flesh. It's letting go of control, pride, fear, and pain, and allowing God to give you something brand new. I know what some of you are thinking, but I've already given God everything. Haven't I surrendered? And maybe you have. But here's the question. Have you surrendered your need to understand the timeline? Have you released your grip on how things should unfold? Have you laid down your fear that if you truly let go, you'll lose control? That fear, that need to cling tight, that's the stone heart talking. That's the old nature of whispering lies. The final step is releasing what you were never meant to control anyway. Your reputation, your plans, your timetable, even your pain, the pain that has sat with you for so long it feels like part of your identity. God is asking you to lay it down, because until you release it, you cannot rise. Think about it like this. A seed cannot become a tree until it breaks apart underground. A caterpillar cannot become a butterfly until it surrenders to the cocoon breaking open. The breaking is the birthing. The surrender is the victory. That's why you've survived every battle. That's why every weapon formed against you failed. Because God has been preparing you not for endless striving, but for this moment of surrender. The world shakes, but you will not. Not because you're strong enough to resist the storm, but because you're wise enough to rest in the arms of the one who commands it. And here's the revelation. The final step isn't about the chaos outside, it's about the peace inside. When you stop fighting for control and start resting in His sovereignty, something supernatural happens. You become unshakable, not because nothing can touch you, but because nothing can separate you from his love. Some of you have been exhausted trying to keep everything together. You've been carrying family finances, faith, responsibilities, burdens all on your shoulders, and you're weary. But chosen one, God is whispering, let go. Give it to me. Surrender. It feels risky, doesn't it? Because surrender feels like falling. But in the kingdom, surrender is flying. When you release your grip, you don't fall into nothingness, you fall into the hands of the Almighty. Let me share something personal. I once spoke to a man who told me, I don't trust God with everything because I'm afraid of what he might take away. Maybe you've felt that way, afraid that surrender means loss. But listen carefully, God never takes without giving. When Abraham laid Isaac on the altar, God didn't take his son away forever. He revealed his provision and his promise in a deeper way. When you surrender, you don't lose. You step into something greater. So I ask you, what have you been holding on to so tightly that it's keeping you from rising? Is it fear of the future? Is it bitterness from the past? Is it the illusion that you must control everything, or it will all fall apart? Whatever it is, the final step is to release it. Right now, heaven is watching. Right now, the war room of heaven is silent, waiting for your answer. Will you keep clinging to the stone heart, or will you let him give you a heart of flesh? If you're ready, I want you to make a bold declaration. Say it out loud, I rise, and write it in the comments. Not because typing words saves you, but because it's a prophetic act, a way of telling yourself, the enemy, and all of heaven, I choose surrender. I choose peace. I choose to rise. This is the secret, chosen one. The world may shake, but you won't. The storms may rage, but you'll stand. Not because you're unbreakable in yourself, but because you are fully surrendered to the one who is unshakable. Let this truth wash over you. The final step is not about control, it's about release. It's not about fighting harder, it's about trusting deeper. It's not about doing, it's about becoming. And when you step into surrender, you will discover a supernatural peace the world cannot understand. You will walk into storms without fear. You will face loss without despair. You will live unshaken, not because life is easy, but because your heart is anchored in the unchanging love of God. So, chosen one, this is it. This is the moment heaven has been preparing you for. Lay it down. Release it. Take the final step and rise. Stay with me, because in the final part I'm going to remind you of the truths that tie everything together, the conclusion that seals this journey with hope, prayer, and blessing over your life. Chosen one, as we come to the close of this message, I want you to pause and take in everything you've just walked through. Every battle you've faced, every tear you've cried, every dark night when you wondered if God had forgotten you, it was all preparation. Not one moment has been wasted. Heaven has been shaping you, refining you, and positioning you for this exact hour. The shaking we've been talking about is not here to destroy you, it's here to reveal you. The final shaking is not your end, it's your unveiling. The storms that swirl around the world right now are confirmation, not condemnation. God is not trying to bury you. He is revealing the treasure he has hidden inside you all along. The secret is this: it's not about doing more. It's not about proving yourself. It's not about checking off a list of religious duties. The secret is surrender. To stop clenching your fists and finally open your hands. To stop fighting for control and finally rest in his sovereignty. To stop trying to do more and finally let him make you become more. When you surrender, you don't lose, you gain. You gain peace this world cannot take. You gain strength you didn't know you had. You gain the freedom that comes when fear is broken off your life. When you trade your fear for his faith. When you exchange your heart of stone for a heart of flesh. You step into a place where you are unshakable. Not because life is easy, but because nothing, Absolutely nothing can separate you from His love. And here's what you must know: you are not walking this road alone. Across this nation, across the globe, there are others just like you. They've felt the stirring, they've heard the call. They're taking this same final step. Together we are a community of the chosen, not connected by geography but by grace, not bound by bloodlines but by the blood of the Lamb. You may feel alone in your city, in your home, in your workplace, but you are part of a family larger than you can see. And this family is rising. Now let me speak a blessing over you. If you're able, just open your heart as I pray. Father God, I lift up every chosen one who has walked through this message. You see them, you know their name. They are yours. Right now I ask that you silence every voice of fear, every whisper of doubt, every lie that has told them they are not enough, not chosen, not called. Let your truth drown out the noise. Lord, I pray you would lift the weight of anxiety off their shoulders. Let peace settle over their minds like a holy covering. Open doors no man can shut. Provide for every need according to your riches in glory. Heal what has been broken. Restore what has been stolen. Strengthen what has grown weary. Most of all, Father reminds them that they are deeply loved, fully chosen, and never alone. Let them feel your hand on their shoulder, your whisper in their ear, your presence surrounding them even now. Let this be the hour when fear is broken, when faith rises, and when surrender becomes victory. In the mighty name of Jesus we pray. Amen. Chosen one, if that prayer touched your heart, I want you to do two things. First, share this message with someone who needs to be reminded that they are not forgotten, that God still has a plan for their life. You might be the reason someone chooses hope today. Second, take a moment to comment below. Tell us what God is stirring in your spirit. This isn't just about words on a screen. This is about building a community of believers who rise together. And if you haven't yet, make sure to subscribe and join this family. Because here we don't give up. Here we choose to rise. Here we believe the best is yet to come. Chosen one, never forget this truth. You are not here by accident. You are chosen. Every battle prepared you. Every tear watered your faith. Every setback positioned you. And now the shaking is your unveiling. So keep surrendering, keep rising, keep believing, because your story isn't finished. The best chapters are still ahead. You are chosen, you are loved, and you will not be shaken.